River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Indiana Dan. There we go. Third time's a charm. I'm here with Mr. Jimmy B. James. James, say hello.
Did you slip up your name again?
I did, yeah.
I think everybody should drink for that. If you're playing.
I have my water. I've been I never drank on, or no, I haven't drank on camera since we started the show, and I'm sticking to it, I guess. But yeah, no Eric today. Eric can be here with us on this episode, but we are hopefully remedying that going forward. But we don't need to get in that now. What we do want to start with here before we get into our usual Friday betting themed episodes, it with what went on in Kansas City, what was supposed to be a day of celebrating their Super Bowl win, without getting too far into like the whys or anything like that. Those details are still coming in. But one person lost their life, and I think it was 21 last I saw were in the hospital, and apparently a lot of them were kids. To my understanding, a lot of them were kids, and just I don't know. I feel I speak for both of us that our hearts just go out to the city of Kansas City. Just this is not the show or the time or place to have that discussion about the bigger issues, obviously, with gun violence in the country. That's not what we're here for, but we'd be remiss to not extend our deepest condolences to the family of the lost one, and just express our shock and just disgust over how just what happened. I'm speechless. I'm angry. I have many thoughts on this issue, but just expressing all I feel is necessary to do right now, at least, is just express just my heartfelt just I can't believe this happened to you guys. I'm so sorry, and I my heart goes out to everybody that was affected in Kansas City. It's disgusting that things like this are common now in our country, and you can't even celebrate a Super Bowl without the risk of some violence, some abhorrent violence happening. And I don't know. It made me sick seeing that. Like this is what we talk about, going beyond football. This is just disgusting, and whomever is guilty in this for whatever reason that they did do it, I hope there's swift justice for those individuals.
Yeah, and shout out to some of the civilians that help apprehend the individuals. I heard a story today where a gentleman basically jumped on the guy and held him down until police could come and apprehend him. And so shout out to those heroes, not only the paramedics and the police, but some of those everyday people who decided that they needed to help the police apprehend the individuals. So kudos to them. Like you said, Dan, it's crazy to think that we can't even go to a victory parade with something like this happening, and our hearts go out to all the families affected, to the city of Kansas City. Luckily, I did hear too today that the children that were injured should all make a full recovery, so that is good. And that is good to hear. But
yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing that only one person lost their life. I mean, as backhandedly disgusting as that is too, that anybody was in danger. Yeah, thank God every one of those kids that made it to the hospital seemed like they're going to be okay. I did see that too.
Yeah. So our hearts go out to you, Kansas City, and we're here if you need us.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's just some things that are bigger than football, and I would hate myself if we didn't at least address that at the top first. We're still here to do a show. We're still gonna have fun. If you didn't see the episode title, we're making way too early NFL award predictions, and we still want to have fun with that. this is just our hearts break for Kansas City, and we wanted to express that to you guys first. But anyway, yeah, and sorry if I implied that Tuesday was our only episode of the week. I did not mean to. So surprise! I realized that while I was editing the episode, I was just like, oh wait, no, we're still coming back Friday. Why'd you say that? Like, but yeah. Anyway, James, Mr. Jimmy B. I love your tag, by the way. That is really funny. I'm still mourning. I'm like I said, I'm not probably going to wear this hat too often, if anymore. So I've raised my own banner, so to say. But yep, nope. The Intercept Cancer hat's going to be my primary hat going forward again. But anyway, you spearheaded us doing this segment eons ago, and yeah, let's get the ball rolling. Let's start making our way too early picks for the NFL season.
Yeah. So first, we're going to start with MVPs. Just so you know, all these bets we found on Hard Rock. So that's of 7/19 on Thursday. What's today? The 15th. Thursday, February 15th at 7/19. We got these bets from Hard Rock. So MVP, as you can see right there, we got a nice list of all of that's there. Now, Dan and Eric and I, we all talked about some of the ones that we thought were good. And there were some people in the room who like the Brock Purdy pick at plus 1,300, another year in Shanahan's system. But looking back at recent history for over the last 30 years, the guy who lost the Super Bowl hasn't won the MVP. So for me, that, if we look to history, it doesn't look to me, the chances of Brock Purdy winning the MVP, I wouldn't bet on it just based on history. Could he still win it? Yeah, he could still win it, and he could break history. It'll be his third year in Shanahan's system. We saw what he could do this year, but it'll be interesting to see once the league catches up to the 49ers in their offense, what the next step will be. But Brock Purdy at plus 1,300, I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know about you, Dan. I don't know what you think about Brock Purdy and his MVP chances. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I got it. Well, thinking of thinking of Purdy, I think another year with Kyle's going to be really good. I anticipate some consistency. Unlike we don't know what's happening with the other side of the ball, and yes, listeners, we will address that on a later episode. But no, if Brandon's not there, that's obviously going to be a big loss, and it's going to be an opportunity for say Danny Gray or possibly a free agent to step in and fill the void. But Kyle is very good at spraying the ball around and trying to put Purdy in a situation that he's going to succeed in. And so far, a year and a half, even with a catastrophic elbow surgery in between, Purdy looks like the dude. And I'm not going to bet that he's going to be the MVP, but I would anticipate similar numbers. I don't know. It just seems like the jury's out on him. I think if he was going to win MVP, it's going to be like if they did it like post Super Bowl, and should he win Super Bowl 49 next year. But I don't know. I'm not that optimistic about the award, but I am optimistic that he can replicate the same numbers next year, because he did pretty similar numbers between last year and this year. 6 games versus, or 9, however many games versus a full season. My pick, though, looking at this list, we've kind of role reversed on here. You were talking about Purdy. I'm going to talk about your first love, the Eagles. I know you just said history. The guy that lost the Super Bowl doesn't win MVP. I don't know if you meant just like the year after or just in general.
Like I don't like if you look back at the quarterbacks that were on that list, that somebody tweeted us or somebody texted in the text chain. Looking back at them, I don't think any one of them after they made their first appearance. We're talking about quarterbacks that have made their first appearance in the Super Bowl and lost. Looking back at
Oh, that was making it back to the Super Bowl. I sent that picture.
yeah, but if you look at those guys, who they are, none of them have won MVP afterwards, after they've lost in the Super Bowl after their first appearance. And even if you go back to like Jim Kelly, John Elway, Dan Marino, Boomer Esiason, like never won an MVP after their first appearance in a loss in the Super Bowl. Like, so it's a very rare feat. If you lost your first appearance in a Super Bowl to actually go on to win an MVP at all. And so that's where the history of this Purdy, betting on Purdy, I wouldn't go for. I do like. I mean, you like Jalen Hurts. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, I genuinely, it's so bizarre to me what happened to you guys. Like Jackson, like same with Jacksonville too. Not that excuse me, not that Trevor Lawrence, I think, has a chance to get MVP. I mean, who knows? This is the fun of this exercise. But the way that you guys collapsed was so. I can't believe the floor fell out for you guys as hard as it did. And um, obviously, Sirianni, I I would have been shocked if they fired him, but in these subsequent weeks, like I get it. And thinking back to when they fired uh not Doug, uh
Chip
your other
Kelly,
not Chip Kelly, the one that won the Super Bowl. I can't believe I'm spacing
Doug
on his name.
Peterson, Doug
Doug.
Peterson.
Oh yeah, Doug Peterson, not Doug Marone. When they you guys are very cutthroat and you guys have very, very high expectations. So I think Jalen gets that. And I think with your new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, I I think he's going to take it on himself as much as anybody else to get back to that standard that you guys are at. And I would not be surprised at all, especially with how competitive the NFC East is, because the Cowboys, I mean, I expect regression from the Cowboys, but then again, they could go on another 10-12 win tear. But you guys could equally do that too. And I think even if you do lose some of your like older core pieces, like I don't know, Johnson, I guess is going to. Johnson's definitely going to stay from what I know, and who knows if Brandon Graham is, who knows if Kelsey is. I think even if you lose, say Kelsey or a couple other of those veterans, I think Jalen Hurts understands what. Excuse me, understands what your expectations are, and I think that he's shown that he can be that kind of leader or that kind of quarterback that elevates the whole rest of the locker room. We've talked about before how there's quarterbacks that are managers. I hate saying that, but there's other quarterbacks that you can, as tangibly as you can, elevate people around you. Aaron Rodgers elevates people around him. Tom Brady elevates people around him. Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl with the worst receiving core probably ever, and so he elevates people around him. So I really do think if we were going to do a Jimmy B long shot, I genuinely like the more I've sat on it, I really think Jalen Hurts at plus 16. I mean maybe it won't pan out, and maybe he just has a great season, but I don't know. I would not count out Jalen Hurts, especially just from you hearing the way that you've talked about him. I cannot imagine him uh not thinking about how the way your season ended this whole offseason and never wanting to go there ever again.
Yeah, I mean, he has a good shot. He has a good shot. Kellen Moore, um, being the offensive minded he is, and the way Shane Steichen had, Jalen there, just not this past year, but the year before, he has the talent to be in the MVP race, be up there. And there was even a part of last season, this past season, where he was the favorite to win MVP. I just, if we're looking for long shots, like for me, um, I go to like if like CJ Stroud on that list, I like as a long shot. Jordan Love at plus 1300, and then
You could definitely make the case for CJ or Love. Like between
yeah,
those two, I'd pick CJ, but no, you could definitely make a case for either of them.
and then you don't have the other part of the list up here, but at plus 4,000, there we go. We got Anthony Richardson. Um, I think
I'm
he
not
could.
holding my breath on that one personally, but
I, you know, if he doesn't get injured, I thought the games that he was in for an Indianapolis, there was some promise there. Um,
yeah,
and
Steichen and him definitely have good chemistry. Just he can't let him bust his elbow or bust his shoulder again.
yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna go real long shot, I think you got Anthony Richardson right there. I mean, you got Chris McCaffrey at plus 5,000 too as well. Like we just saw him have an MVP caliber type year.
I think he
So
was third or fourth in MVP voting. He was above Purdy.
yeah, but I mean, there's stuff to be had outside those top names too that I think are good. I think I think Anthony Richardson, he has a head coach in Steichen who helped Jalen achieve MVP status. I think it's there for him, to make a case as long as he doesn't get injured. So
Yeah, and no, talking about my home team. No, I really do. They're gonna. Whoa, that was loud. The It's gonna be fascinating to watch the AFC South. CJ versus Anthony. That's going to be that competition is going to be great for both of them to keep both of their edges sharp. I'm obviously going to be cheering for my Colts, but I have that little emotional investment in D'Amico too. But no, that's going to be a fascinating rivalry to watch for the next few years. I really can't wait. I'm sure at least one Colts Texans game is going to be in prime time. I will take that bet. I was just flipping back to here. Oh, nope, not that one. Um, Honestly though, like looking at these, like which one, like legitimately, like let's say the contender. Again, way too early. I'll just start from Justin upward. Is that 5? Yeah. I I don't know. I'm not counting Justin. I think we can't take for granted that Jim's just going to hit the ground running with them. That roster is going to be a little bit dismantled because they're in some cap hell. I think it will be a good season, but I'm not MVP. Lamar, Lamar's got a. I don't know. Lamar obviously is going to be in the running. Joe's just not going to get hurt. Of the front runners though, I mean it's easy to say Patrick, but I mean Josh Allen. Josh Allen was getting. I don't know. Josh Allen does and doesn't get enough love in my opinion because when you look at a qualifier of like importance to the team, like a true value to the team, that team literally is Josh Allen. Like
yeah,
with how snake bitten their defense was, especially there at the end of the stretch. Josh Allen, yeah, you could argue he's a little reckless or kind of gunslinger in the same vein that Brett Favre was, but that team lived and died by Josh Allen. And so having him second in MVP, I doesn't surprise me at all. Like that would definitely be another strong contender for me if I was to put money on a person right now. Like I was saying, Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. Those two for me stand out the most. Other than obviously Patrick Mahomes is obviously going to be a contender for it every year, just like Lamar now. Even though Lamar had a bad season compared to his 2019 campaign.
yeah. I mean, I think Stroud is the interesting case for MVP. Like I think another year in that offense. If the Texans not only win the division, but maybe end up with the one of the top 2 seeds in the conference. I haven't looked at their opponents for this year, but CJ Stroud, if we saw that Patrick Mahomes didn't have the number 1 seed this year and it was Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won the MVP because he was tops in the conference. So CJ Stroud, with the defense that they have in there, having both the offensive and the defensive rookie of the year, the Texans could easily end up at the top spot. I mean, maybe they don't win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that, but they could end up, with CJ Stroud could definitely have an MVP season for sure, especially with the way he played last year.
I did pull up at home, obviously Colts, Titans, Jaguars, but they're playing the NFC North, so they're hosting Chicago, hosting Detroit, and then going to Minnesota and Green Bay. And then they also play the AFC East, hosting Buffalo, hosting Miami, so then going to the Jets and then going to New England. Uh they will host the Ravens again, so the number 1 AFC North versus number 1 AFC South. And then they go to number 1 of the NFC East.
So the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
they go to the Cowboys. I was just making sure that covered everybody. They do go to the Chiefs. Yes, but that's the only AFC West team they play. They go to the Chiefs. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, that covers everybody outside of their division. So they got some heavy hitters coming in this year. I mean, they got some heavy hitters in their schedule this year. But that creates the opportunity, like you were saying, that creates a great opportunity for him to stake his claim for an MVP campaign. He'll get Dell back. He's still got I forgot the name of the other receiver that they have, but he was really good too. But yeah, no, that's a great case you can make for CJ.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's Jordan Love in there too, second year starter going into next year.
He
I
had
mean,
30 touchdowns. Let's not forget. He had over 30 touchdowns, and he was playing some awesome ball. Almost beat us.
yeah. So Jordan Love going into next season, second year in Matt LaFleur's offense. Um, they'll probably upgrade at some of their positions this offseason um, to help him out. So the Jordan Love ticket, I think, is interesting as well. He's right in that like Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, C.J. Stroud range. Where it's just enough on the outside where it's like, okay, you could get a good bang for your dollar, and that actually could hit as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think with that, then, that covers the MVPs pretty well. How about we go ahead and stroll on over to the future NFL champions? I I only have this one picture for this one. I am personally very shocked that we're opening as number 1. I'm very flattered. I'm very flattered that we're just our number 1 instead of the Chiefs. Just we both have the right culture and we both have very good front offices though. I'm very flattered that we're number 1 over the Chiefs though. Oh no, call it some sting from this year's Super Bowl still, but no, obviously I'm going to cheer my head off for us to do it, but I mean looking at this, um I'm very surprised Detroit really intrigues me. I just think another year with how young that roster is, I don't think that roster is going to have that much of a turnover that I'm aware of. The only real signing that they have to worry about is Jared Goff that I'm aware of too.
They got to
Um,
worry about C.J. Garner Johnson too, because he was on a 1-year deal.
do they really? That'll be interesting to see if they want to bring him back or if they can bring him back. Because he had a bad injury. I don't know. Maybe they'll take a flyer on him again. And Emmanuel Mosley, if he can recover from his second ACL tear, that'll be a nice corner for them to get back because they did ink him to I can't remember if it was a 1-year deal or not. But anyway, no, Detroit really sticks out to me as somebody to really watch out for in the NFC side. The Bengals obviously have as good a shot as anybody as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy. And assuming that he can stay healthy, that really intrigues me. You guys should be higher than Dallas. You guys had a big collapse, but I would pick you guys over Dallas every time.
Well, we got the same odds, it looks like.
Okay, yeah, 1750. That's okay. Miami, I don't know. Miami, Houston, Green Bay. I'm not between the 3 of them, I'd pick Houston. Green Bay at a very close second. I'm very worried about Miami having a step back just with the luck that they've had, and now they lost Fangio. Their offense can get stymied
Mhm.
They have a very high ceiling, but we saw countless times their offense getting stymied after that Denver game. So yeah, I don't know, like really, really long, really, really long shot. I guess yeah, Houston, but then uh, between Cincy and Detroit, I don't know. Detroit, I would be more comfortable with, like just because we don't know how healthy Joe Burrow can stay anymore because he has been hurt every year but one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Houston and Detroit really stick out to me, which would be an amazing Super Bowl, AFC, NFC. I honestly, that'd be incredible. Detroit getting to the actual Super Bowl for the first time versus just the World Championship, and then Houston for as young as they are, like man, that'd be something. But yeah, those two teams stick out to me the most. Detroit and Houston, even though like duh, of course I'm going to cheer for my team.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, if we talk about recent history, the 49ers are top of this list, but I mean, unless Brock Purdy is the second coming of Jim Kelly, which he could be, but I mean, still, like the
That means
fact
we're
that,
going to lose 4 in a row.
yeah, but the fact that somehow the 49ers are atop of this list, it's mainly just because of roster. It's not due to history or anything like that. The 49ers have one of the best rosters in the league.
We have one of the best coaching staffs in front offices in the league too.
Yeah, but I'm also surprised these were the odds today with no defensive coordinator. That is something to be,
Yeah,
considerate of. Like, how are you, like, to me, like the San Francisco 49ers have no defensive coordinator and they're still atop of this list. So it's mainly based upon personnel,
and
and the roster.
having 4 Pro Bowl and All Pros on the defensive side, like guaranteed locked in. Like Armstead's not going anywhere, Hargrave's not going anywhere, Bosa's not, Warner's not. We're obviously going to at least start the season without Greenlaw, unless he's got some miracle surgery. But I'm assuming
You have
we're not going to have
Hufunga coming
Greenlaw.
back too. You have Hufunga coming back as well.
Yeah, no, he should be fine from his ACL. Yeah, that's true.
So that's basically a personnel thing, and you have Kansas City, being as they're the ones who just won this previous year and seem to figure out ways to win. It's like they don't have the best roster, they find a way to win. So
You
you
didn't
have
have a thousand. You didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Your top receiver was a tight end. Your second best receiver was also in the mid 900s. Your running game was decent. Nah, that's not enough credit. The running game was fine with Pacheco, but yeah, that we need to double check if that was the worst offense to win the Super Bowl since Denver's in 2015.
Well, Denver's was a historically bad offense, like historically. Like they were, I wanted to say they were 29th in passing, so I don't think the Chiefs were that bad.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's what I mean. Since the 2015 Broncos, that like we're winning games on their defense and a wing and a prayer. Like that, it's got to be
yeah,
the worst offense since that team, though.
yeah, it could be. It definitely could be. I'm thinking like, yeah, thinking back into who's won since. Uh, yeah, that could be. It could be one. Yeah. But I mean, out of this group, I agree with you. I like the Lions to maybe get over the hump. Although giving up a 17-point lead in the NFC Championship game can be pretty crushing to a franchise, but at the same time, it could lead them to bigger and better things. And um, you know, the AFC teams have to get through Patrick Mahomes, and we've seen Lamar Jackson can't do it, Josh Allen can't do it. The only one coming out of that has is the Cincinnati Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow. Um, and
I mean,
so,
the Dolphins could get it together too. Like I'm not holding my breath on it personally, but I mean, uh, I don't know. It could be the year they turn it around. Like this year was the year that they almost turned it around in Detroit. So I mean, you can't exactly rule Miami out.
yeah, Yeah, I guess you can, but I mean,
The AFC is just a slobber knocker. Let's just put it that way. The AFC is Game of Thrones. Like it is so cutthroat and so talented.
yeah, for sure. I mean, they have all the quarterback talent in their conference, and so it's a lot harder gauntlet to get through um, to get to the playoffs. Now with the Houston Texans having C.J. Stroud, uh, like it's just yeah, it is a gauntlet to get through the AFC. And so I mean if you're looking at Detroit, I mean their main competition in their division next year will be the Packers, most likely. But if you look inside the conference, you have San Francisco, the Eagles. Um,
Dallas to an
I,
extent.
I really don't like considering Dallas a Super Bowl contender.
I
You know,
they Dude, they had their moments. There are moments you have to give them some flowers for. They crumbled when it mattered, obviously, but I don't
that's
know.
the thing. They always crumble when it matters. Like, and they should have lost to the Detroit Lions. That's the thing. Like, that's another thing. Like people forget. Like they should have lost that game.
Yeah,
Um,
ref ball. Yeah.
yeah,
I just when you have 12 plus wins and you win your division, I mean, no, I agree that they crumble when it matters, like in historically bad ways. But I mean, at the same time, they at least during the regular season, like they can drop a hammer on you. I'm just it because it happened. We can't pretend that they didn't beat the crap out of certain teams.
yeah. They beat us pretty bad in Dallas. Um, honestly, I don't even expect to win in Dallas now that, with the way the last couple of years have been. My goal is like split with Dallas, um, every year because Dallas just seems to have our number when we play them in Dallas.
Don't
Um,
ever take division games for granted. That's the philosophy I've always had. That's why I'm always nervous when we play Seattle. Whenever we play the Rams, not so much the Cardinals right now, but I've had that feeling with the Cardinals before. Never take a division game for granted because it can swing the other way in very dramatic fashion. And then you're like, well, I thought we were going to win this game. It's an
yeah,
opponent that actually cares about you way more than if you just go to Buffalo. Like,
yeah. And then also, like you think about next year with the history of the NFC East, uh,
you
will
still haven't
Dallas
had a back
repeat?
to back winner.
We haven't had a back-to-back winner for like 20 years. And so
There's the window
it's
for you
really
guys.
it's right open for the Eagles right there to take. They should be, they're right even with Super Bowl odds. They'll probably be right even with division odds, and depending on how the offseason goes, we'll see. But I mean, the Eagles should win that division next year. Will they get to the Super Bowl? Will they win the Super Bowl? I hope so. Um,
You have an amazing defensive coordinator. Kellen Moore is not going to. I mean, Kellen Moore is the same person that called that weird trick play to end the season 2 years ago, but he's not a bad offensive coordinator. Like, I think you guys are in good hands from a coordinator perspective, especially on defense, because Fangio does not mess around.
yeah, and we just have to upgrade our talent on defense. That's the problem. Like we have resources in the
Bradbury.
defense. Yeah, Bradbury. You know, if we're going to rent linebackers, can we rent better linebackers? Like not just pull anybody off the street and just say go play linebacker. Like, could we rent better linebackers? Like that's the thing. Like their philosophy, the Eagles philosophy is just we don't care about linebacker. We can get anybody to play linebacker, and they don't put resources into it. And they've
Oh,
had
hey, so maybe you should invest in linebacker a little bit.
I mean, it seems to hurt us. And I think I don't know if D'Angelo can make miracles happen with what he has. I still believe in the Kobe, but he's been injured the last 2 years, so we don't know what we're going to get from him. And
So
you know,
maybe it's worth actually paying some linebackers like we did.
I still believe in putting more resources in the secondary, but I mean, it's proven successful, at least to a point. I mean, they got to the Super Bowl last year. They've been successful. They were successful enough to make the playoffs last year. Was the collapse due to their linebackers? I don't know. I think it was more in the secondary that caused them to collapse. The talent in the secondary that was really bad. I mean, we don't really have an answer at safety, nor second corner. It seems like so. Yeah, I mean,
See, you would have been
there's
fired by Kyle yesterday too, because that's the prevailing notes that I've been getting on it is that we want to go back to a defensive coordinator that is more front seven focused than back four focused because our front seven numbers went way down, our rush defense went down, our sack numbers went down. Even though, yeah, our secondary was really good. Yeah, you would have been fired yesterday also because that's the same mindset that Steve Wilkes.
well. I mean, no. Invest in the defensive line. The most resources should be invested in the defensive line. Like if you're going to put, it should go defensive line, secondary, then linebackers. That's the Eagles' philosophy. That's where the Eagles have spent. This Eagles spend in the defensive line. They spend in the secondary. They really don't spend at linebacker, and they haven't for quite some time. And they just need good linebacker play. They just need comparable linebacker play. And when we won the Super Bowl, we had Nigel Bradham was on a career year. He had a career year. Nobody expected Nigel Bradham come in there and play linebacker like he did.
Right.
Jordan Hicks got injured, and nobody expected Michael Kendricks to really, he had promise, but we didn't know. We didn't go into the season expecting like him to be some sort of all-pro linebacker. And I don't think any of those guys were all-pro that year, but we still won the Super Bowl. And so the resources have always been like, we don't put it in linebacker, we put it those things. But minus that, I mean, we're back to Super Bowl odds. Eagles, Dallas. I mean, I see Eagles coming out of the NFC East because Washington's rebuilding, New York's rebuilding. So it'll just be between Dallas and the Eagles. And if we look at history, Eagles will come out of that.
Should. Yeah.
Should. Yeah. But
assuming the Giants don't get better, which let's be real, they probably won't.
No.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really. I mean, I kind of spent all my notes on that. I don't. Does anything else really stand out to you on this? I kind of don't have really any other notes on the Super Bowl other than what I've already said. Detroit and Houston stick out the most to me, besides obviously cheering for my Niners.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we don't have the other part of this list, but I mean, just given that.
Oh yeah, no, I only have the honestly beyond these guys. I don't. None of the NFC South is on here, nor should it be.
Yeah.
None of the NFC North. Chicago's not going to spring back. Minnesota, no, there's no way. Even if they re-sign Kirk Cousins, no. I don't know. I'm very comfortable with mine. If anybody wants to bet that early, I would think Detroit and Houston are not bad long shots. I can't bring myself to think about that beyond this fun exercise right now. It's still hurting a little. Still hurting a little. I'm obviously doing okay, but once we have some combine news and free agency news, I'll be back to normal. But no, it's still a little raw. Only 5 days out. But yeah, no, I think with that, this has been a fun little exercise. Next week, guys, I promise we're going to talk about either the coaching carousel as a whole, or we'll dive into our turnover that we've had, because we've had a lot of coaching and front office turnover. We're saving that for next week, but we will address it, and especially when Eric's here, because I'm very interested in his and your opinion on those things that have happened. But I think with that, we need to talk about our sponsor, RoyalRetros.com. What is Royal Retros? It is your go-to place to get an authentic throwback jersey. Right now, 49ers fans, you can still go there and check out the Candlestick collection. It's curated with the Bay Area in mind. When you find something that you like, go to check out and use the promo code Shady Sports, and they'll get you 10% off of your entire order. Again, it's Shady Sports in the promo code section. It'll get you 10% off the entire order, and it helps not only us out, it helps our parent channel, Shady Sports Network, out, and you get yourself a really cool, authentic jersey. So again, RoyalRetros.com, promo code Shady Sports, 10% off of your entire order. Go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. James, remind the people about the big charity news that we got coming up.
All right, guys. So in the recent news, before the beginning of the season, there were a couple of stories that came out about owners behaving badly. Houston Texans minority owner charged with very serious sexual crimes in Kentucky, and Jed York, the COO, implicated in an insider trading scandal due to a company that helped students cheat during the pandemic. The reason why we bring this up is because if these had been players, the NFL would have reported on it right away. But in these two cases, the NFL reported months in the case of the Houston Texans owner and new years, assumably, with the Jed York insider trading scandal. And the NFL has said that player owner standards are supposed to be higher than player standards, but we all know if a player had done anything remotely close to this or had done what the Houston Texans minority owner is charged with, we'd hear about it on the never-ending news stream reported on by the NFL. And so that's where we get our hashtag owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling t-shirts to raise money for a Kentucky Crisis Center. There's our statement, owner standards are less than player standards. You can get that in different colors, different sizes, $22.99 starting in t-shirts. Next up, we have our podcast logo art. You'll find this on our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to us or find us. You'll find us in our profile. You can get it on a t-shirt, $22.99. Get you that on the t-shirt, or we have different styles and different sizes. Next, we have our alternate logo t-shirt. I have this t-shirt, very high quality, $22.99. Get you that in a t-shirt, but we have different colors, different styles as well. And finally, last but not least, our mascot. How can you say no to a peanut eating peanuts while sitting on the couch cheering for his San Francisco 49ers? Get that in a t-shirt for $22.99. Donate to a Kentucky Crisis Center. Go in the show description notes or go to our Twitter page on our pin profile or Google Niner Nuts Apparel and go to the bonfire.com link.
Yes, and we will reveal... Oh no, James disappeared. That's not good. Okay, well, I can just reemphasize, we will bring on a representative from our charity in the coming weeks, and we still have the shirts up on Bonfire. Just click the link in the show notes in this episode. And sorry, it threw me off. James is gone. But that happens sometimes. I've disappeared quite a few times. Thank you, Spectrum, for fixing my internet. But yeah, guys, Eric will be back next week. We're fixing the schedule a little bit to make sure that he's with us the entire off season. Reminder that next week we will be back, but after that we will be going on alternating weeks. But again, next week we will have episodes on the 19th, 20th, and the 23rd, and then we're going to take the next week off, but then we will be back in March. But yeah, like James said, check out our merch for charity on bonfire.com. And yeah, next week we'll be talking about, among other things, the Steve Wilkes firing and other things that are just going on. So with that, speaking for James, our closing music is River Road by Justin Muth, and we will be back next week. Just go Niners, enjoy the offseason.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way